Right now, I have to stop saying.
Well, that was a disappointing one for Dallas Stars perspective. They lose Game 2 by a 3-0 score, as this is the DLLS Stars Post Game show coming up. We will break it all down. We will try to talk you off the ledge because it's only one. It doesn't matter what the score is in the end because it's only one of a best of 7. This is the DLLS Stars Post Game show. Starts right now.
Get it ready, boys.
This is the DLLS Stars Post-Game Show. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage is brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy responsibly. And by Happiest Hour, your home base and the best place to catch the NHL playoffs and cheer on the Dallas Stars just steps away from the AAC. The ultimate spot with 50-plus beers and 40-plus TVs for all the big moments every single game day. Happiest Hour, your favorite spot for the Stanley Cup playoffs. And good evening, everybody. This is the DLLS Stars Post-game show after Game 2, a 3-0 win for the Edmonton Oilers. Before we get to all of the breakdown tonight, I'd like to say a special hello to everybody watching on both our YouTube channel and on Victory Plus. And, of course, later to all those listening on the audio platform on whatever podcast service you prefer. We do have one thing to give you a notice on that we did in the pregame show, and that is we have a brand new ball knower bonus. Will Mikko Rantanen record a point in Game 4 against Edmonton? So this is what we did last time, except for in the last round, it was Wyatt Johnston. He hit, and people that went for it cashed in. What do we mean by that? Well, let's talk about this. The Ball Knower bonus is back, and you can win a gift card to the All City merch store if you make your pick correctly. Here's how it works. First, you have to pick a winner. So you have to decide whether you think Mikko Rantanen will or won't record a point in Game 4 at Edmonton. Then you need to make a purchase. Browse our store and make a purchase of at least $25. Then, if your pick wins, you'll win a gift card for the same amount as your original order. Of course, the important thing is you must click on our link, whether it's in the chat or in the show YouTube description, to then bet and get your gift card. So do you think Mikko will score at least a point in Game 4, which is on Tuesday night next week up in Edmonton? All you ball knowers out there, make your pick, place your order. If you pick correctly, you're going to get a gift card from us for the same amount as your order. That's the ball knower bonus. All right, alongside the two-time Stanley Cup champion, Craig Ludwig, and of course, our very esteemed producer, John Andersen, I'm Owen Newkirk. Sam Nestler will be joining us from the AAC a little bit later. Luds, that's a disappointing result tonight, especially because of the old adage, if you don't score, it's pretty hard to win a hockey game.
Yeah, you could look at it another way. It's a good thing you're now down 2 games. You know, if it wasn't for a few penalties that the Oilers took the other night, good comeback by Dallas. So the good news, it's 1-1 because it easily could be a little worse than that. But again, Stuart Skinner seems to be really, really average to bad to really good. I mean, he either gives up 4 or 5 or he gets shutouts. I think it's his 3rd shutout in the last, 4 games now?
It is.
I believe.
Yep.
So, yeah, he was good tonight. I mean, he didn't need to be super, but there were a couple tough ones. You know, obviously the one that he stopped behind him on Essa.
Yep.
But he was good when he needed to be.
So from a Stars perspective, they have now been shut out 4 times in the playoffs. It hasn't come back to bite them yet. It was twice against Winnipeg, once against Colorado. The interesting trend is that each time they were blanked, they came back and won with a pretty solid offensive effort.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of expected this series.
Yes.
I mean, you weren't going to roll through these guys, and these guys weren't going to roll through these guys, through the Stars. So, again, I thought Otter was not, maybe there might be one that you may look at, but Jake, again, made some saves when he needed to make them in the game, but this isn't going to be easy. I mean, they got 2 of the best guys on the planet. They got a goalie that we talked about, a little hot and cold, and he was hot tonight. So, but again, it can't be that last game where we found a little more, I don't want to call it depth scoring when you're talking about Sagan and Duchesne getting in on it, but it can't just be waiting around for the power play or Mikko Rantanen to score goals. And by the way, that thing you were reading there about Game 4, it might be perfect because Rantanen's gone, 4 or 5 games now without a goal?
Yes.
That might be good timing.
That
might
might
want
be
to jump
good
on
timing.
that thing.
He did have a point, an assist in Game 1 of this series, but he hasn't scored, as Lud said. I believe, what was it, Game 4?
I think this will be 5 now. This will be his 5th game in a row, right?
Well, if only there was a way I could scroll something on my computer and look it up. Rantanen's last goal came on May 11th against Winnipeg, which would have been Game 3. So it is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, as Lud said, 5 games. And in those 5 games, he has 2 assists. No points tonight. So, again, he was on a astronomical scoring rate.
Yeah, you weren't going to keep that.
No, but he's also been pretty quiet. And that's not concerning, but maybe a little bit more than that. I mean, he had a couple good chances tonight, but teams are really keying on him and his line right now.
Yeah, and right now I think we hope that number 24 is okay.
Yeah. Well, that's a big deal too. So Roope Hintz gets slashed by Darnell Nurse. There was some debate between us upstairs, rather passionate debate, I might add. It looked to me from the one angle behind the net, because the front of the net looked like he slashed him either in the knee or the shin. But when you look at it from the reverse angle, that it came down right on the top of the laces.
Yeah, I thought it hit the knee pad on its way down to take off a little of the brunt. But regardless, again, hoping it's okay. Regardless, I would have him wearing a boot out of there tonight.
Would you?
It has nothing to do with his foot.
Gamesmanship.
Yeah, I would.
So he gets helped off.
If you see that, don't anybody panic.
Right. He doesn't return, obviously, because we didn't
were there? 6-7 minutes to go in the game, somewhere in that neighborhood. By the time he limped down the hall and probably got up on a table, got his skate off, and generally you never take your skate off, so that's usually with a shot, though.
The penalty was at 3:46 of the third period, so there are about 16 minutes left in the game.
No, I thought there was less than that. Yeah.
So that's concerning, because if it is a significant injury, Luds, I mean, obviously Roope Hintz has had a very good postseason so far. He's tied for second on the team in scoring, and of course with his speed, his size, the anchor, the middle of that finish first line. I mean, we all know how important Roope Hintz is to this group.
And the score had something to do with it too, right?
Sure.
Because there's ways to get back, but you kind of pay for it a couple days later or 3 days later, and it may start to come back. And if you're in Game 6 or Game 7, something like that, and you want to come back in the last 15 minutes of a hockey game, you can get back, and then you can worry about recovering for the next 3 months.
When you look at this game, and we'll go through it all, of course, this is another one of those where the Stars get shut out, but it doesn't feel like they got walked over. It feels like one where they played a game where the other team got the lead, they had their chances, and they just couldn't get them, and you kept waiting for one, right? Typical Stars fashion. Get one, get them going, get the crowd into it, and here they go, like we saw in Game 1, and they just couldn't get that first goal. Obviously, the one save on Lindell was crazy, but even earlier in the game, there was a pretty solid stretch in the second period where they had the better of the Oilers, but they didn't capitalize, and that was a big turning point.
Yeah, well, again, you don't get to the third round if you're not making some big saves in there, and tonight was a night when their goaltender stood up. And some of the goals, a couple of the goals that went in on Otter, one hits a stick and it slows down, another one hits a skate and it slows down. So, they're not fluky because they earn their goals, but it's just one of those games. And again, this is going to happen. We don't even know what's going to happen. And the one thing you got to make sure is you at least get a split coming out of this next one. I don't want to say that you don't want to go in there and sweep them, but you have to make sure you get at least a split now.
Right. That's the one. I'm glad you brought that up, because going into tonight's game, even though the Oilers were feeling hard done by the fact that they played a really good 40 minutes in Game 1, and then the Stars came roaring back on the power play and they won that game, Edmonton was still in the driver's seat if they could win a game, which they did tonight, to steal home ice advantage away from the Stars. Because the next two are in Edmonton, it's not as though Dallas has to go and win Game 3. It would be preferable, but they've got to get one. Yeah. That makes it 2-2, then it's a best-of-3 series, and they're back on home ice. So
yeah, and it's you say pour it in, and you're like, yeah, it's going to be a long series, but you do pour it into the next game. Like you said, you want to get ahead 2-1 and make them chase you.
there are a lot of people. We'll get to the breakdown of the game, but there are a lot of people upset on the Nurse Hintz play, and also I'm seeing a lot of calls for retaliation, response, that kind of stuff, including our boss up in the lounge. How do you respond to everybody that wants that kind of retaliation?
Again, I said it in the pregame show. Winning the series is more important than that. You have, you may get up 3-1, and in game 4 you're up by 4 goals, and there's 3 minutes to go, maybe there. But then again, you don't want to lose a player to some kind of crazy suspension, because in the playoffs, what would be, it works a little different. So you don't want to be missing any games in the playoffs. So, but this isn't the time. Sometimes you just got to bite your tongue, because it's more important to be able to shake those guys' hand, knowing that you're playing in the next round and they're going golfing, than it is to get back at someone, because you got a long time to do that.
Hey, you know how fan emotions are a massive swing of roller coasters in
I've
playoffs?
heard that. Yeah.
I see at least one fire Pete DeBoer if they lose this series in the chat. That's the kind of passion people are having right now. I'm not saying that everybody is, but that's a tough one. Was that the right call from Nurse? Was that a 2-minute minor for you? Because they did review it. They called the major so they could look at it. Did you think there was anything more than 2 minutes?
No, it's a good slash. That's a good chop.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, if people are calling for 5 minutes, is that what we're doing here?
I think some people were upset because they saw Roope helped off the ice.
It's still hockey.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. Soccer, I guess maybe you could
see,
throw
look,
that.
Ali agrees with you. Best retaliation is to win the next one.
Throw the yellow card in soccer, but not here.
See, Ali says best retaliation is to win the next game.
See, we're on the same page here.
You guys are. All right. Let's start breaking this down a little bit as we look at the first period of this game. It was a okay start. Felt like Dallas was a little, in the first couple of minutes, were a little better at the start of this game 5-on-5 than they were in the first game. I thought that they looked like they had a few more shots, chances, puck possession, but then they took a penalty. Granlund was called for boarding at 5:34. Speaking of penalties, what did you think of that call?
See, when you see it in real time, it's one thing. And when you slow it down, but in real time, was it Stetcher?
It was Stetcher, yes.
Was it Stetcher?
Yep.
Stetcher goes in and he's starting to go behind the net, and Granlund is literally a foot to 2 feet, coming in to make contact with him. And Granlund's not going in there to cross-check him across the head, but he stops his momentum and he turns. And Granlund's kind of coming in from, it'd be behind Stetcher almost, and going to go like you're going behind the net. And when he turns back, he almost turns into Granlund. Now, when you slow it down, yeah, it looks like it. But those, for me, are on the border. I mean, it's a fast game, and I understand why the call was made. It's just tough as a guy because you want to get in hard on him. You want to finish your check. That's what you're supposed to do in the game. But sometimes a player stops on a dime and he turns in, and he's kind of turning into the hit. But, again, I get it why they called the penalty.
And so on that power play, it didn't take very long because the call came at 5:34. The goal came at 5:51. That's less than 20 seconds. And this was a bit of a fortuitous deflection off the stick of Hintz, but also pretty good net front presence by Nugent-Hopkins, who taps it home.
Yeah, I mean, Hintz gets his stick in there, and he kind of slows it down. And, on the shot, I think it was Bouchard that took the shot. Mm-hmm. He's got a bomb, and you could see Hintz's stick kind of rattling a little bit. But once it slowed down a little bit, right here, this is where the shot comes, and it ultimately hits Hintz's stick here. It rolls off his stick, and it bounces to the net. But then, and Nugent-Hopkins just holds his ice. Like, he stays where he's supposed to be. Where the problem comes in is that's Wyatt, by the way, standing right next to RNH. Where the problem comes in here, we're still kind of good, right? Here's the puck. Mm-hmm. But on the next one, Wyatt moves away from him. And when Wyatt takes a step up and puts his stick over here, and that's Wyatt was in the right spot at the right time. He doesn't tie him up. But again, I think probably in Wyatt's mind, he didn't realize it was going to hit Hintz's stick. And so when the shot is taken, and usually it hits the pad right away. I think Wyatt probably released because of that, but it slows down. Nugent-Hopkins doesn't move, and it's just ultimately a little tap in for him. And again, Jake has to be set where he is because, again, it's Bouchard who can bring it. I mean, he knows he's got a bomb. So
go back to that last frame, if you would, John, as he's tapping it home. There's 3 Oilers around the crease to 2 Stars. I know that's sort of a common thing now, right? The penalty kill, they do that is is that they want more pressure higher in the zone. That means the goalie has to take a guy.
And there's no screen
McDavid right there.
Jake sees the shooter.
Right. It's just the deflection.
It's the deflection that kind of throws it back to his right. And you can see he sticks his right leg out, and it just squeaks by that right onto the tape. And again, Wyatt can't take that step off of him.
And so because of that, the Oilers have the lead, and then the Stars get a power play as Corey Perry was called for roughing. I actually don't think it was Corey Perry.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
It was maybe one or two. I think Wallman got a shot in.
It wasn't Wallman either.
Frederick grabbed
21.
Oh, yeah. So Frederick grabbed the back, gave him like a horse collar.
Yeah.
And pulled
and it's
Blackwell
the one
down.
time. And isn't it, you're just guilty because you're Corey Perry. It's the one
almost,
time he didn't do anything.
It's like a Mason Marchment, Corey Perry syndrome.
Yeah.
He's there. Your association is why
you're guilty by association. Yep. Yeah, you're just in the neighborhood, so it's got to be you.
And on that power play, they had a couple of looks, but the biggest thing was Connor McDavid had a shorthanded chance to hit the left post. And boy, he doesn't need a whole lot of space to create problems and then get that shot away.
Yeah, but that kind of shows sometimes goaltenders. They say, I only gave you that much. I made sure that you had to hit the outside of the post instead of the middle or the inside. All
right, we're going to break down the rest of this game and then get to your Super Chats a little bit later. We'll talk to Sam here on the DLLS Stars Post Game Show.
What's up, Stars fans? Well, we've got ourselves a series. Enjoying the game should be easy, but when you lose, it's really not. So let's not overthink this. What to wear? Done. Throw on your favorite Stars jersey. Not sure what to serve your friends? Well, that's even easier. Pick up some pizza, grab some beer, make sure it's Bud Light, and stock up the fridge. See, it's just that easy. Just like Bud Light, which is always brewed with 4 simple ingredients for a clean, crisp taste. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy, but remember, we all do it responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Thank you, Luds. Let's talk about Sleeper. It's the best fantasy league platform out there. You can put your puck or your ball knowledge to the test by picking whether your favorite or your least favorite players will have more or less than their projected stats each week. Tonight, well, let's look at what happened with John tonight.
Nice 3-for-4 evening, which is actually 0-for-1, as I've described in the past, because that is not how Sleeper works. You have to hit every single leg, as they call it, of the entry. We fell short, fellas, on Esa Lindell to record more than 2.5 block shots. He had 2. Darnell Nurse had 0, so he had the less than there. Jake Oettinger didn't even face enough shots in order to go with the more on that, so we went with less on 27.5 Jake Oettinger saves. And Miro Heiskanen did record a second shot on goal late in the game. We went more than 1.5 there. So 3-for-4, which is 0-for-1, back on the wagon Sunday.
And we'll try it again. With Sleeper, the more picks you combine, the more you can win, all the way up to 100 times your money. Make sure you keep Sleeper around for instant alerts, breaking news, major injuries. You can find out what's going on. Keep track of league updates in real time so you're always informed and ready to outsmart your friends. If you think you have what it takes, new users can download the Sleeper app and use the code DLLS Stars to get $55 in free entries when you place a $5 contest. Apply it to any contest. Doesn't have to be your first. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. All right. We continue with our recap of tonight's Game 2 as the Stars lose the game 3-0. We left off at that shorthanded chance for McDavid. The Stars' first power play had a couple of looks. Duchesne missed the net from a pretty open look. Robertson had a shot in the slot that Skinner made the save, but it didn't feel like it had a lot of teeth to it. And then, Luds, a little bit later, 5-on-5, Mikael Granlund hit the post on a wrist shot from the top of the left circle. That was Dallas's best scoring chance of the opening 20 minutes. They outshot Edmonton 11-10, slight edge in scoring chances, but it was the Oilers that had, by my count, a 2-1 edge in high danger chances. So Dallas, quantity, but not a lot of quality.
Yeah, I think Dallas is having a hard time getting to the inside at times there. Granlund's been great, though. I mean, he's had a couple opportunities and, along with Rantanen. So, you just want to find a second and a third opportunity once it gets to the front of the net. But as the game went along, the desperation was there a little bit more, and I thought they did. I was saying upstairs, every time I see Sam Steele and Blackwell on the ice, it seems they're not your natural goal scorers, but they just seem to create, and they have a second and third effort that keeps them in the offensive zone, trying to at least do some damage.
Jake Oettinger, I'm looking at the wrong one. Thomas Harley was called for holding 30 seconds left in the first period, which I believe was essentially a takedown of Leon Draisaitl.
There was no question on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a prison sentence there.
He
somewhere.
grabbed,
yeah.
suplexed.
You're not going to argue about that one.
So they carry over a good minute and a half to the second period, and boy, did Draisaitl have a really good chance. Low left side. Oettinger was starting to go to his left. He had to come back to his right. That was an excellent save.
It's amazing when you watch Draisaitl through the course of the game. I'm amazed what he can do on his backhand. Like, I've never seen anybody, and I know Gordie Howe, and a lot of people probably don't remember Gordie Howe, but they say that he had one of the most incredible backhands. But Draisaitl makes cross-ice passes from the right wing side coming down the wall all the way to the opposite side of the ice.
It's incredible.
And he's got that flat stick, and we haven't seen it yet, and hopefully we don't see it, but on the power play, when he's off to the left of Jake over there, he's almost on the goal line, and he can bury it. We talked about that in the pregame show. So he's a superstar, man. We all know that.
He didn't look as dangerous tonight as he did in game one, though. He had a couple of moments where he had looks. He had one where a sharp angle one time where he flubbed it and never really got a good shot off.
He was setting people up
yes.
tonight. He was more of a distributor tonight than a shooter.
And in game one, he looked like he was the guy possessed to be the goal scorer, and he did score, and of course had some other ones. The next thing I wanted to bring up was just a dangerous moment where Granlund fell down, his foot came up, and it looked like the toe cap of his skate caught Connor Brown right in the mouth. Yeah. Brown would be a little bloodied, but he'd stay in the game and score a big goal later. But those are always dangerous when you start to see those skates go flying up near your face. And we're fortunate we don't see more of that where blades catch with faces.
Yeah, I said to Ben upstairs, I said, isn't it funny how you can kind of get slapped on the face and get a little nick from a hockey stick or the blade, and you get like a 5-minute major? You can kick somebody in the face and you get nothing.
Yeah, no penalty at all.
With a lethal weapon on the end of your
very dangerous. Yeah. I guess maybe it's the less control or whatever. So big chance for Rantanen, and it's somehow he pops out to the front of the net on the backhand. Skinner makes a great save. Yeah. It's not quite.
I didn't think he got a lot on it.
I don't think so either, but based on who it is and how close it was.
Yeah, we count on him scoring all the time?
We should expect it, right?
Yeah, I just felt when he came, and there was a little resistance there. I mean, he moosed or bowled his way through there to get that opportunity, but I didn't think he got a ton on it. But yeah, you're right. Their goaltender ends up getting his left foot out there.
I'm trying to check here real quick because I wanted to follow up before I bring this up. Yeah, he did play again. Okay, so Adam Henrique left the game for a while, about 7 minutes to go in the second period. Did you happen to notice as he came back into his defensive zone and Jason Robertson is trying to hold for offsides?
He hit his chin, hit him right on the shoulder cap.
Right on the button.
Yeah, and sure, I'm guessing that was a spotter kind of thing, and maybe they watched him for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, he did not play another shift in that period, but he did come back for the start of the third.
And he had, I don't know, when did that happen about? I mean,
it was with he went down the tunnel with about 7 left in the second period.
Yeah, that's about proper time.
Yeah. So at that point, though, Luds, they're down 1, and it was like an 8-2 scoring chance edge for Dallas. They had some momentum. They had some good shifts in the offensive zone. But what didn't they do? Capitalize. They didn't score. And frankly, other than that Rantanen chance, I didn't have any high dangers.
Yeah, I was going to say, they're getting there, but they're not getting there.
To your point, they're not getting interior enough.
Yeah, and that was my thing right from the beginning of this. And, all year long, this Edmonton Oilers team in the regular season and through the playoffs have been really good in front of their own net. I mean, they usually have 5 guys that are making it a lot more difficult. And so one of the keys was for me is they had to get interior. They got to get inside their coverage and get a couple ugly goals.
So then with just under 5 minutes to go in the second, the Oilers get a second goal. And it's a good play. It's also a little fortuitous, just like their first one where they got a deflection. Brett Kulak skates into the high slot, takes a shot. And Rantanen, I think, executes a really nice shot block, but the puck comes right back to Kulak's stick. He now has Rantanen to his right and has an open lane and beats Oettinger to make it 2-0. How did that break down in your mind?
Well, it started up ice, and we can't get the whole picture in here. But what happens is Granlund was down below the tops of the circles on the opposite side of the Stars bench. And so Granlund's trying to get off the ice, but Marchment has his leg over the boards. He's trying to get on, but he can't jump too soon. You got to wait for Granlund to get there. Well, next what happens is Duchesne's in the middle of the ice on the opposite side of the ice. But my problem is right here. When it comes across the offensive blue line for Edmonton, it's a 2-on-3. Somebody here has to force. I mean, you have numbers here. Whether a defenseman, I think that's CC.
It looks like CC, yeah.
CC can either go and then the forward can back up, or CC more. For me, I would just send that forward over there and take some time and space away. That doesn't happen.
Is that Rantanen right there at the blue line?
Yeah, because he's the one that blocks the shot.
Yeah.
So what happens is you could send him, or Rantanen could tell him to go. But ultimately, he gets in, he pulls up, and by now, Kulak's coming up the ice. And Marchment's not in the play. You can see Marchment's now just getting into the play here, right? And so this is where Rantanen sticks his skate out. And there was a couple shots from behind. Jake starting to, come out. He cuts it down. What happens when it hits his skate, it comes right back to Kulak. And Kulak's kind of moving to his left, but he goes back against the grain. And Jake is he's sliding a little bit because of the initial shot. But when Kulak goes against the grain, he just can't catch up to it, and it sneaks by Jake.
It's a really good shot.
It's a great shot.
That's the
I don't even know if he meant to go there, right? But I think he's just trying to. He's got the second shot. It comes bouncing back to him, and he's trying to just get it on net.
Yeah.
And I think he pulls it a little bit, and fortunately for him, it finds that hole between Jake and the left post.
From a Stars perspective, for a guy that blocked shots for a living, that's a tough one for Rantanen because it's a really good individual play, but you wonder if it gets through cleanly, does Jake just make that save and that's it?
Well, yeah, it would have ended it
that's
right
what
there.
I mean.
But again, in the playoffs, and that's what happens is in the playoffs, you see players do things that they wouldn't normally do during the regular season. You do things to try to keep the puck out of your net. And at that time, I think Rantanen realizes, what the situation they are. Kulak's coming in with a head of steam, and the puck's on a platter for him, and so he lets it go.
1 minute and 13 seconds. That's 76 seconds later. It's 3-0. And to me, that ended it because, again, a 2-goal lead's tough. We've seen the Stars come back, but 3 felt like 2 quick ones. And it was Connor Brown, the one who got kicked in the mouth earlier in the game from the Granlund toe of the skate, tipping one from Nugent-Hopkins down through the pads, 16:36 the time of the goal, 3-0, and that one hurt.
Yeah, and you don't see this probably ever from Esa. When there was a shot and a rebound and the puck is laying around and Esa gets it and he tries to just bat it out of a dangerous area, but he doesn't get a lot on it. So he basically bats it right back up into where the coverage is and where you have a little bit more of the white jerseys around the green ones. And so ultimately it ends up over on the wall and it's Nugent-Hopkins again. And all he does is he just sends one there. Now there's probably people here. You have to look, and CeCe's got a 2-on-1 here in front of the net. He's got to hold his ice. And this shot here is an easier save on a tip like this from Jake, for Jake, I should say, than going across to the other side. That's an empty net. So I think CeCe does the right thing right here to make sure that if anything comes across, he's in the right spot to stop it. He just gets enough on it, and it just kind of flutters over the top of Jake's right shoulder into the back of the net. So it's one of them plays that goes up the middle. Nugent-Hopkins doesn't get a lot on it. And it's just a little tap. And as a matter of fact, it's probably a better that when the shot is coming from Nugent-Hopkins, that it's not that hard. That Brown was able to catch up to it. Yeah, he could catch up to it.
And amazingly, that's Connor Brown's 5th goal of the postseason this year. He's really had a year.
Who was the fourth liners in Colorado that they were scoring all the goals?
Logan
from?
O'Connor.
Yeah, O'Connor. Like he's kind of that guy for those guys.
Yeah.
You always, and during the playoffs on runs like that, there's always some guy you don't expect that has a really good playoffs.
Well, with that, it's 3-0. End of the second period, Jake takes a penalty as he goes out to clear one and shoots it right into the stands. So we carry over into the third period, and it looks like it's just going to be the normal 5-on-4, except then Blackwell takes a really blatant interference on McDavid.
That wasn't good.
So it's 5-on-3, and Lud's, the Stars penalty kill 3-on-5 was excellent, and they actually had a shorthanded breakaway for Wyatt Johnston, and that is a timely save from Stuart Skinner because if Johnston scores there, here we go again, special teams to start the third period.
Yeah, and we had an angle from behind Wyatt, and I thought, who am I to say? But I thought he should have shot the puck. And Skinner's just on his game tonight. That's all it is. But it was a nice opportunity for those guys to get back into the game. Doesn't work out, so we move on.
And then the chance. 4-on-4 hockey. It came just after the 10-minute mark because Bischel and Podkolzin were called for cross-checking and roughing, respectively. Haskin takes a shot from the right circle, misses in the net, goes off the end boards, kicks around, and Skinner, like we saw in game 1, did not go post-to-post quickly, and Lindell has the whole net, puts it right down the middle, and Skinner gets his paddle over. I mean, it's a phenomenal improvised reaction save.
I heard one of the guys from Edmonton that covers the team talking about Skinner, and he said the guys love him because there's never any quit in it. He doesn't always have the perfect game, but he'll give you everything that he has, and that's a perfect example right there. And I think every goaltender, in that situation, he gets over. And again, it was Essa. He doesn't get a ton on it. Like it's kind of a bobbling puck. I think it's on his backhand. And he just kind of swipes
Well, what
it to
did
the
Pete
net.
DeBoer say after his empty net goal?
Well, it was funny because when he said, he can hit it from 180 feet away on the empty netter, but if he's within 15 feet, he may miss the net. That one wasn't going to miss the net, though.
No, it wasn't.
And it just kind of crawled across the goal line, though.
Matthias Janmark hit the post on a all alone. I don't know what happened to the coverage.
Well, oh yeah, that one. Well, no, I do.
He's wide open.
I was kind of wondering what Miro
himself.
did. Miro just took off.
Miro went and chased the puck carrier against the boards, and there was nobody else with him.
Well, he knows Janmark. He's probably thinking, wow, he'll never score
and
anyway.
The ironic thing is he went through the legs of Oettinger and hit the post, and then Miro got back and cleared it.
When he went to make one of them little forward backhand moves, and he lost it. It dribbled off the stick, and that's what threw Jake off, sneak between his legs. But by then, it didn't matter.
Duchesne had a really good look, 6-on-5, low left circle. Skinner came across, made a good save, and that was it. Shut up. 3-0. Edmonton splits, and now we go to Alberta for the next two. But the good news, Luds, is as I saw somebody in the chat say, I don't see Edmonton winning 3 in a row. That means if that's the case, you're getting a split at least. So that's exactly what you want. Or, I mean, that's not. Yeah, Luds wants them to win both and be coming home 3-1.
I was going to say the math that. Yeah, okay, yeah. Make sure you win a game. That's all I'm saying. You're going there to win the first game.
Up next, let's hit your super chats right here on the DLS Stars Post Game Show.
When you're headed to the Stars game, there's no better pregame or postgame spot than Happiest Hour. Grab a beer, devour some apps, then walk across the street and catch the game. Happiest Hour brings the playoff energy with 40 TVs and a jumbo LED screen that turns game nights into events. Happiest Hour doesn't just do apps, they do team happy-tizers. The Ferris wheel of wings, a jumbo pretzel, a nacho tower, Grundle tower, let's see what comes after that, and a full menu for game day favorites. And you've got a playoff spread worth cheering for. Happiest Hour has over 50 beers on tap, signature cocktails, frozen drinks, and beer towers on the table. Join us for happy hour from 4 to 6 p.m. on weekdays and score half off apps and signature cocktails. It's the best value play in Victory Park, whether it's a weekday or weekend, Game 7 or the offseason. Happiest Hour is our favorite spot. Check them out right down the street from the American Airlines Center.
All right, let's talk about Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. They may most likely have a style in your favorite team's colors. I was wearing my aviators today, very comfortable, even on the scooter, even driving downtown today in the car, not on the scooter. Scooter's just for the short commute. But either way, they're comfortable, they're affordable, they are definitely a high-quality product, and of course, you don't have to worry about if they ever go missing, take on an unexpected hit. They have the most insane lost or broken replacement protection. Easy for me to say. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out the best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use the code DLLS for 35% off polarized sunglasses. All right, it's Super Chat time, and I imagine that the tone might be a little different than Game 1, where the euphoria of a 5-goal third period and a big comeback win has now turned into, as Bailey says on Twitter, or on the chat, a Grundle tower. So
before we continue, fellas, would you like to hear a clip from Pete DeBoer talking about the... I'll just read you exactly what it said.
You're talking about the nurse / on Hintz.
Yes. You'll hear the quote in this.
Please.
You're talking about it?
DeBoer.
Oh, yeah?
Do you have an update on Roope, and what did you make of that slash?
Well, I'll answer your question with a question. Does anyone in this room think if Connor McDavid gets carried off the ice like that it's not a 5-minute major? Oh,
interesting.
That's my answer to your question.
Right side, third row. Follow up on that. Mason Marchman said he thought there was intent by Darnell on that slash against Hintz.
Yeah.
Do you?
Well, again, if that's 97 carried off the ice in the same situation, I think we all know the answer to what that looks like for us.
Sorry, Pete, just to follow up on that, is there an update on his injury or his
No,
status?
I don't have anything yet. No.
Not surprised you're not getting an update tonight. But what do you think about the suggestion from the Stars head coach there? If the
I think it's fair.
shoe was
Fair
on
to
the
say.
other foot,
Yeah,
so to speak.
but maybe McDavid skates off the ice on his own. I don't know.
Yep.
But I get the point. I know what he's making for sure.
And that's the thing about the playoffs is that one side is going to be angry about something. The other side's going to say, hey,
This
you
is
guys
all-
did this. And
It's a perfect thing for Pete to say. He's sending a message. You know what I mean? You do that. You set that up. NHL is going to hear that. The referees are going to. I mean, that's what happens in the playoffs. You got to somehow get your correct message across. He wasn't too brash about it. He didn't say it should have been a 5. He didn't. He just came out and said if it was somebody else, would it turn out the same thing?
it's a clever way to not get fined, but still get your message across.
Yeah, and that's all part of the playoffs.
All right, let's bing bong it up. Some super chat time here.
Bing bong.
We start with Key Lynn with a Oscar Beck and the year after the cup. Ben was no captain tonight. Again, tit for tat or drop the seat. You agree with this is calling for retaliation.
Again, it's a long series. You have to. The series is tied 1-1. It's not 3-0 or something. I get the whole thing, but there's something bigger going on here, and you want to make sure you're well equipped. And there'll be a time and place, and you may get to Edmonton, and something happens there. But the last thing you want to do is, and again, what you don't want to put your team down, whether it's in this game or the next game, and be short a player or two.
Bing bong.
All right.
Regular season, go for it.
Key has another one here. This time it's a Lundqvist in year after the cup. Since the Otter tees sell so well, make a sloth tee for Robo.
Oh. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
What he said.
Yep. What he said.
What he said.
Yeah,
By the way,
These are the aforementioned Otter tees.
that's a really nice T-shirt. I talked to Robo this morning. Again, he's always one of the
Were
last.
you able to catch him?
Look, I'll put it this way. He's clearly not there yet. He's trying to find his game. He found it, let's say, early January, right? And it became one of the top scorers from about then till the end of the season. That's
But
why
we've seen some speed from him. There's been times where you see speed,
Right.
but it's when there's traffic.
But it's everything coming together. It's not just one part feels better tonight. It's the
He had a really good look on one of them, I think, tonight. I mean,
there was one
not
where he
enough-
had a really good
No,
look
it's
and
not enough for Robo.
didn't
but-
get enough on it, but he had one on the power play that was okay. But
Yeah.
but again, lads, when something's off in one part of your game, whether it's mental, physical, whatever, that can make everything else be off just a little bit.
Yeah, the one thing you don't want is get a rep when you're in playoff time. It kind of is the same every year.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You don't ever want to say, yeah, but he can't play at the right time of the year. And he's been going through some things, right? And he's had a couple injuries here.
And you talk about a reputation, there has been question marks about him in the past of being more of a regular season scorer than a playoff scorer. He did have a
And
hat
that's
trick.
because the game gets harder in the playoffs.
It's a completely different game.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did have a
Bing
hat trick in
bong.
Edmonton last year, though, and so you never know. He
Keelan's
with a
pouring
third
it
one.
on.
He just went all in on a Super Chat hat trick to start tonight. A Lundqvist and year after the cup. Oh, almost landed on the sleeper T-shirt. If Robo wasn't wearing number 21, would he be a healthy scratch? Oscar Beck is more effective on the ice in the playoffs.
What's the number got to do with it?
I think what he's saying is that if
If it wasn't Robo?
if it was just a guy
Yeah.
playing the way he is right now, would he be in the lineup?
Well, it would be a way to send a message to a player. And sometimes, I mean, again, if like didn't you mention it? If it was somebody in Vegas coaching, if it was Cassidy, he's got no problem benching some guys.
I think that I think
That was me who said that to you, by the way.
Was that you that said that?
Yes.
Yeah. That was John. Good call, John.
I just think that
you look a little bit alike. I do.
well, we're both from New England, so I'll take it.
Oh.
I think that the Stars coaching staff is hoping that Robo finds his game because they've seen it before. And remember that yes, because this question, it doesn't work in reality because once you've proven that you can do it at the NHL level, you start to build your bank account, right? And not both literally, but also figuratively, because how many times do you hear a GM like Jim Nill say, this guy's got credit built up. He's done it before. He's proven it. It's on his resume. And that's a big deal in this league.
Yeah, but that
it only lasts for so long.
And it works the other way during the play. The other thing you can do is you can get into let's say you get into the second period. You haven't seen anything from him, and you get to the 6-7 minute mark of the second period. He doesn't see another shift. Now he has the intermission to think about it, and then you get him back out there at the start of the third, and hopefully you see a little different one. So instead of taking him completely out of the lineup, because you know that if a player goes down like Hintz does, now Robo comes out there. Actually, he came out on the ice for that power play. He can get on the power play and he can score a big goal for you. So you don't want to take a 40-goal scorer out of that if you don't have to. So maybe there's another way to send a message versus – because, again, to take him out of the game completely and then it's a 2-1 hockey game and somehow he's on the ice and he does what he does and he scores a goal, whether it's a good or bad goal, and he ties the game up 2-2, he gets you overtime. You never know.
You're just waiting if he finds it. And again, it's harder because he has
less. Scorers need confidence, man.
It's been 5 weeks since the injury, right? So again,
but we've seen him.
We've seen him come back from the preseason injury, and it took 3 months, right? October, November, December, really to get going.
Unfortunately, the playoffs aren't 3 months.
That's what I mean. He doesn't have 3 months, so he has to accelerate. Okay, let's go to the next one. Matthew with a Heiskanen 99 cup year. Team is not physical enough to establish a favorable position in the slot, and for that reason, this will be a quick series. That's
why I said the key for me as we did the thing is I thought they need a 5-on-5 play. They need to get to the front of the net. They had to battle, and they got out hit tonight, 50-29. So, but that's kind of that's a thing for this team. It's not like this has been a big, strong, and I think that I said that this Edmonton team to me is different. Like they've brought some of those guys in. They got a guy in each line with Frederick and Perry and Pods Colton. They've got some guys that like to get in there, and so they're adding some sandpaper to their game, and it's not just about the two superstars. They're trying to get a little game going where there's a little back and forth going. All right, let's go to the next one. Michael Moore with a Masterton and 99 cup year. Panic. Okay, maybe we should? ? I mean, this should be 0-2 in the series, and the Stars should have but it's not. That's the key.
The Stars have not showed they can score 5v5. Mikko is MIA, Wyatt -15, and Jason is all at the orthodoc. Not sure how they get over this hump. Vent over. Okay, Michael, I hope you feel better now. And as to Lud's point, it's 1-1.
And sometimes it's easier to go on the road when things aren't going your way. Do they know that they could be down a couple games? Yes, they know that. Sometimes it's a little easier to get away from the fans because they know how everybody feels, and we'll see it. Because again, you got to be a little bit more desperate on the road, just naturally in the regular season. You're in somebody else's building, so we'll see how they do in game one.
And if you want to get talked off the ledge, Dallas won a road game in each of the first two series. They were a pretty good road team. They didn't have a good start this year on the road, but then in the regular season, they became a really good one the back half of the season. Actually, probably the last 3 quarters of the season. And they were the best road team last year. So this team knows how to play a road game, Luds, and they've been able to get one in Winnipeg, one of the hardest places to play in the regular season and in the playoffs. Remember, they were just dominant at home and then couldn't win a road game, the Jets. They went to Colorado and won a big game, even with the altitude and all the Rantanen hoopla and all that. So, long way to go.
Bing bang.
Anthony P. with a Brendan Smith in year after the cup. Better go after Draisaitl or McDavid next game.
Again,
people have been trying to get those guys a lot.
Yeah, I understand it, but don't lose a player because of it, and don't put yourself. You go ahead and do that, and the next thing you know, they get again. If it should have been a 5-minute major, obviously Pete thinks so. All of a sudden, you're going to give Edmonton a 5-minute major because you're going after whatever. So I just don't. Regular season is one thing. Sometimes you got to pay the price to win a series.
And while it was early in the third period, Luds, when the injury and the penalty happened, it was 3-0 Oilers. So it's not as though you get a 5-minute major and you say, well, we get one and we're tied. No. You get one, you need 2 more. Now, this team has shown over and over, get one, they can get many, but it's not the position they want to be in every single game.
No. Bing bang.
General Nutsacks, great name. With a Brendan Smith, and you're after the cup.
Can I use my one, Ben? I'm going to use my one Mando drop here, okay?
They need
balls, butt cracks, and grundles.
There's the
Oh,
one.
wait, now does that mean I don't get any?
Yeah,
There's only one per team?
He gets to play
Well,
to
I'm
use
the one
drop
I have the
ones.
buttons.
So I can't say nutsack or grundles or nothing anymore.
Well, you did.
Oh,
He's
I
talking
did
about
it?
playing the drop.
Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't
But
count.
anyway, General Nutsack says they need to slash McDavid and Draisaitl.
It's catching on, Ben.
A 2-for-1 deal, Luds.
We need to get some shirts.
So I actually saw that in the pregame show chat, and I didn't say it out loud, but somebody
Why's everybody
suggested.
laughing?
Well, somebody suggested that they make a DLLS shirt with a picture of you standing there with those 3 things listed underneath it.
3 things. There's only gonads. There's only 2 of them.
Can you play it one more time, John?
No, I'm not allowed to. That's my one.
Well, you see, he's listening to the boss. Let's go to the next one.
Bing bang.
JEF250 with a Haskinen 99 cup here. Luds, do you think it's time to put in Dumba? Besides Miro and Harley and sometimes Bischel, the D-men are slow and don't shoot. I want to turn this question around. What do you think of Petrovic coming in for Lyubushkin tonight?
I thought he was okay. Like I mean, I didn't see any mistakes that he made. I think they're a good pair together. But yeah, I don't. Again, this is look. We're in the 3rd round. It's 1-1. Like I sense the panic. I get the whole thing, but you're not going to change the whole lineup. All the people that are trying to get Dumba out, he's out. I don't know if a player, and again, he's a veteran guy, to come in at this stage of the game. I don't know if that's right because again, it just gives you guys more ammo to drill down on Dumba possibly. I don't know if Dumba's going to be playing another game in New Jersey.
Next year, let alone this year.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, and
it would be hard for him, wouldn't it? I would think that his representation is going. He
does have another year in his contract.
I know,
though,
and
those are guaranteed.
Yeah,
let's take more super chats and talk to Sam in our next segment here on the DLLS Stars Post Game show after Game 2. Yeah, look at this. We're going to talk about being a diehard, but the first thing you have to do is to know about the ball knower bonus. Well, we've done this already once, so most of you that have been paying attention recently probably already know about this, but if you don't, the ball knower bonus is back here at DLS, and our new challenge is you can win a gift card to the All City merch store if you make your pick correctly. Here's how it works. You have to pick if you think Mikko Rantanen will record a point in Tuesday's Game 4 at Edmonton. Then you have to make a purchase. Browse our store, make a purchase of at least $25 or more, and then if you get the pick correctly, you will win a gift card for the same amount as your original order. Here's the important thing, though. You must click on the link that's in our chat. It's also in the show YouTube description so that you can go make that pick and get your gift card. So do you think Mikko Rantanen will register a point on Tuesday night against Edmonton? If you do or if you don't, go ahead, make your pick, place your order. If you pick correctly, you're going to get a gift card from us for the same amount as your order. That's the ball knower bonus. And some of the merchandise that you can get. Let's start with the newest shirt. Look at this thing. It is beautiful. The Otter tee. It is, I cannot wait. It's a pre-order right now. As soon as our boss has already told us he's getting us this shirt. We've had to buy a lot of our shirts. He is being generous because that is too good for us not to be wearing on the show. He did buy us the captain one. So he's still dash like 8.
Well, apparently we got the captain shirt, but we can't find the captain.
Touche.
Right here.
Look at the Moose shirt. Look at speaking of the captain shirt, these are some of our playoff designs that are now available. Finnish Mafia. Ben is wearing his tonight. Boy, it looks good. They actually started all 5 Finns in the game tonight on the ice in the AAC. Then the Wyatt Johnston 16-bit, the Mikko finisher. All those are fantastic. Scan the QR code. Sign up to be a diehard. You get one of those for free at your choice when you sign up for your first year of annual subscription. All right. So we have more super chats. Do we have a Sam?
We do not have a Sam.
Sam said he's calling
Bing
in.
bang.
Well, let's keep going to super chats while we wait for that. Christian with a Madonna and 99 cup year.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Good luck on that one.
0 reply to nurse, ? It's one thing to worry about fines, etc., but you have, there we go, to let him know there's a price to pay. Flip it to McDavid or Draisaitl hurt, and you would have 5 Oilers ready to respond. So that's a similar argument, but different for Pete DeBoer, who was saying, how would the NHL and the referees react if it was McDavid or Draisaitl?
No, I think what they're saying
No,
is...
right. Do you think that the reaction from Edmonton would have been different than what Dallas did
Who was
tonight?
all on the ice?
Well, it was Roope Hintz. So, well, no,
Really?
so I'm just trying to think. So would it have been Granlund and Rantanen?
I don't know. That's why
I'm not
I don't
sure.
remember.
I'd have to go back and look at the
And
tape.
so you sometimes you got to look and see who's on the ice too.
Right.
But a lot of times it may be better that it is a Granlund or a Mikko. You know what I mean? Because that sometimes that makes a bigger statement than having it be Jamie or Bischel or something like that. But I get where you're coming from. But yeah, that's not the identity of this team. It hasn't been for a long time.
Yeah, they're not just to go throw down and go after guys. They go to try to win.
Bing
That
bang.
might be a good question for the 3-time possible general manager of the year.
It would be an interesting question for
It
you.
would be.
Christian has another one.
I know what he's going to say.
What's he going to say?
He's going to say our power play is our tough guy.
Which
And he may have a good point.
game 1, it certainly was.
Yep.
Christian with another one. This is Haskin at 99. What was the logic in Robo on the 4th line? Because I can't find any. Easy swap would have been for Ben and Mush. That can be true checkers.
Right now, I think you could probably come up with a few different combinations to get them going. I don't know what the right one is. To me, it seems like by putting Robo down in the lineup isn't going to help him. I think you have to get him to feel like he's part of a group that's going to be scoring goals. So if he was out there with Wyatt, depending on what they want to do with the other ones, and because I don't know if Marchment's going either. I mean, in my opinion, I haven't seen a ton out of him. So, I don't think it helps to put Marchment and Robo to go in if there's 2 guys that aren't going. So, like I said, maybe keeping Robo with Wyatt, someone that's got some speed and get him the puck. Maybe that's what helps him.
Well, let's bring in Sam Nestler, our writer over at American Airlines Center. Sam, we played the clip from Pete DeBoer. John was quick to turn around that audio about the frustration over the Roope Hintz call, and if it was McDavid, what would it be? And what was your feeling of that post-game interaction between DeBoer and the media and everything they were going through?
Yeah, it's a tough one. Mason Marchment said something about it, and he kind of said, "Look, I don't want to comment too much on it, but he believes there was intent there, and he doesn't think it was called enough for what happened." Right? He said, we lose our best player for the rest of this game, potentially more. There should be more to it. The tough part with it, and I just wrote about this, is there's 2 ways you can go, and I don't believe either one is wrong, right? You can either look at it and say, look, there's intent there. He's clearly trying to slash him in an unprotected area on top of the skate. He's trying to injure him. There's an injury there. Roope has to get helped off the ice. The rule of the NHL says on a slash, if there's an injury, then a major penalty should be called. You can go that way. You could say it's dirty, and I'm not arguing with it. But you can also say if it's playoff hockey, they're cross-checking each other in front of the net. Those type of slashes happen all the time. And if Roope doesn't, scream and go down and stay down, there's probably no penalty at all. And I don't know which one's right, to be totally honest with you. I will tell you right now, the Stars firmly believe, as you guys heard in the clip, that there should have been a major penalty called. And it may not be wrong. If you look at, if that situation was flipped and that was Mason Marchment slashing Connor McDavid and he went down, you're right. He probably gets a major penalty and he might even get suspended or at least fined. And that's the other side of this too, is can there be supplemental discipline for Nurse now when the on-ice officials called it a minor penalty, and not just called it, reviewed it and brought it down to a minor penalty? And I think, to me, I tweeted out originally that I thought this was not a major penalty, and it obviously didn't turn out to be. But I'm not going to commit either way, only because I think it's right there on either side. I think the way they called it wasn't wrong. So
you're going to stay on the fence?
I really am, and I don't normally do that. I normally have a very strong opinion on things. For me, this one feels right in between. I think if they had called it one way or the other, I don't think either side has a complaint. The more important part here is, what does Roope Hintz' injury look like? And Roope Hintz is someone who's had a bunch of injuries, specifically to his ankle and foot. this is a tough spot where he doesn't return. I don't speculate too much, but I did see Dave Zeiss come over and let Pete DeBoer know he wasn't going to return. Pete gets down, starts scratching out what he's doing with the lines. I would be worried
using the
about
binoculars.
Roope Hintz's.
Oh.
Yeah, I'd be worried about Roope Hintz moving forward. And Pete did answer. I think Robert asked about, are you guys ready to move forward if this is the case? And he said, we have to be, and we wouldn't be here right now if we weren't able to do that, and if we weren't prepared to do it again. Because other than, it's weird because they haven't had injuries necessarily in the playoffs because they already had them before. So it's kind of that weird scenario where they've been healthy and not gotten injured in the playoffs, but they were so injured coming in already that they maybe already had their share. So the focus is going to be here tomorrow for the Stars. I believe they're planning on doing a heavy optional practice before they fly out tomorrow morning, and we'll see if we get any update there. Otherwise, we'll have to wait until Sunday.
Do you hear any reaction from any of the players besides DeBoer on the play?
Yeah, Marchment was the only one who was really asked about it. He said that he thought there was intent. He did mention what I was just saying, which is that, it's playoff hockey, those type of things happen, but he believed watching the play that there was intent and that it wasn't called enough for what it was. And he made the point again of being their best player, just like Pete did, being one of their top line center. It's a tough one. And any player is going to back up their teammate, right? Seeing a guy go down like that and be helped off the ice in that fashion is going to make you angry. And Marchment did say, look, we're not going to go cheap shot anybody, but it's something we definitely have taken a note of. And if the opportunity arises, we will take advantage of it.
I don't know if Jamie was in the scrum or at the podium tonight, but Mark Lazarus, who covers the series for The Athletic, has a tweet that about an hour ago said, Jamie Benn on Darnell Nurse's slash that injured Roope Hintz and only garnered a minor penalty. Quote, this is from Jamie Benn. We didn't like it. If it was McDavid walking down the tunnel, I would like to see the result of that. So kind of echoing what Pete DeBoer was saying. So aside from...
Luds, did you already talk about it, Luds? I just wanted to, to hear your thought on it.
Yeah,
okay,
and listen, it was Nurse, and in the series against L.A., Nurse cross-checked, I think it was Byfield that was laying in the crease. He cross-checked him right across the back of the head. Byfield was laying on the ice, and he didn't get anything for it. So, but what I'm saying, that's how Nurse plays.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys, if he's on your team, you're okay with it, as long as it doesn't hurt your team too much.
I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, it's different, but it's the same thing with Corey Perry. Right? Yep. He's on the other team. He annoys you. He's an agitator. Everyone is
the difference is Nurse can back it up.
Oh, yeah.
Nurse can fight.
Yeah, I mean, totally different in that regard. But I'm just saying, like, Perry's a lot more palatable when he's on your side.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. It's just like Beaker. It's like all those guys.
Or Mason Marchment. A lot of teams
you hate them on other, when you're playing against them, but you love them when they're on your team.
So aside from that incident, Sam, what was the rest of the reaction? Was it all that, or were there other things about the game that was being talked about?
Yeah, most of it was that, but I'll be honest, a lot of the questions were about 5-on-5 scoring and creating chances and the fact they've been shut out in their last 3 losses. And the answers were really consistent to what we heard in those other games, which is we think we're creating enough. And if you watch this game, it's not like they didn't create. They missed the net a ton of chances, missed the net from the slot, good scoring chances. One, I think, that hit the top butt end of Skinner's stick. Like, they were creating. They were very equal, if not better, in the first period and into that second period. This belief of this team is still the same. They fully believe they're creating enough 5-on-5. They just need to convert. And Pete DeBoer has been over and over again exaggerating the fact that, yes, their 5-on-5 scoring has not been the best. Their Duchesnes and Johnstons and Robertsons haven't created a ton. But he said we were missing 2 of our best players against Colorado. We were playing basically to try to survive that series without those guys. We were defending our way to victory, is how he said it. In the second round, you're playing the best defensive team in the NHL with the best goalie in the world. Of course, you're not going to have a ton of goals and a ton of scoring 5-on-5 and depth scoring. Now is the time they're ready for it to happen. And that's what Pete said. He said, look, I understand we're not scoring enough 5-on-5, but you need to look deeper than just the numbers that are showing. Just the base numbers are showing. We're creating a lot. Mason Marchment said the exact same thing. Wyatt Johnson said the exact same thing. Believe we're creating enough. We just need to put it in the back of the net. And one of the big ones for the Stars to do that is getting in the face of Skinner. Marchment said Skinner does not deal with traffic very well. We need to be dirtier and make him deal with it more.
Thank you to everyone who joined on our television platforms. Make sure to like and subscribe here on the pod and check out alldlls.com. Okay, we're moving into overtime now because we still have some more to do. Sam, I don't know if you've even seen this yet because you're working on air with us right now, but Adam Rosso from Spectrum News here in Texas reporting, I just passed, this is via Twitter, I just passed Roope Hintz underneath the AAC after post-game interviews. His left leg is in a walking boot. Luds brought this up earlier in the show.
I would have him in a walking boot regardless if he's hurt or not.
Yeah. Yep.
All part of the, well, I hope it's performative
situation.
and not a serious injury, but we don't know. All right. Sam, anything you want to add before we get to about 8 or 9 more Super Chats?
No, let's hit him. That was the story of the night and the story of the post game. So let's hit him.
All right,
Bing
let's
bong.
go to it. Christian with a Haskinen 99. Stars got out-hit by more than double. Couldn't control passes and too many home run pass attempts. Oilers PK found the Stars' power play weakness, rushed them. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Again,
they did. I will give Edmonton credit. They did pressure. I mean, that McDavid chance was purely just not giving them space on the wall and jumping their defenseman, and Dallas could not handle it with the power play. So that's definitely something they'll need to adjust on.
And Sam, the same thing on the entries. I mean, again, it's what happens when you play somebody every other night for 2 weeks. You learn things, you take them away, and then it's up to the other team to make adjustments, and that's how the playoffs work.
Okay, let's go to Jeff Heath is the GOAT with a DeSmith and 99 cup year. If Mason did what Nurse did, he'd be suspended. That's an interesting discussion, right? If it was Marchment on
but
McDavid.
doesn't that you have a history of doing things, right? I mean that, and so does Nurse though.
Yeah.
I mean, Nurse
He
has been
does. He
suspended. I
does.
think Nurse has had 8 games at one point. I don't know. It goes back a couple years. So
Bing bong.
Anthony P. with a Lundqvist and a Brendan Smith, or it could be a Hatcher. How this team comes out on Sunday after this performance, 2N, maybe tonight, will tell us if they really got it or not. Need to silence them early and score first.
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, but we've seen them respond, and I think that again, they didn't come into this series thinking they were going to sweep the Oilers. They know it's going to be a long series. The Oilers know that Dallas is a good team, so. I think we kind of expect this to kind of go back and forth.
Let's go to the next one. We go to Clay Ball 98 with a Haskinen 99 cup year. The Stars' shot quality for most of this postseason has been embarrassing. Then they suddenly learned to shoot in the last second. Won't be enough. I think that's probably an exaggeration to say the whole postseason, but they didn't have enough quality tonight. They had a bunch of scoring chances. They outchanced Edmonton 33-22, but they did not have the high danger ones. They had a couple in the third that short-ended breakaway, the Lindell open net, but they didn't find enough goals in this one.
Yep.
Pretty easy.
I agree.
Next.
Bing bong.
Steven with a Haskinen 99 cup year. 1 game at a time, I know, but 4th donut this postseason. Few guys need to wake up. Stars find ways to win, but some consistency sure would be nice.
We've talked about their 5-on-5 play for a while now. They've got to get the 5-on-5. You can't just dine on that power play.
Bing bong.
Bailey with a Haskinen 99. Sometimes you've got to take it in the grundle. Need to bounce back, establish some net front presence, and taint Skinner's vision. Giblets over glove. Bailey's just trying to get you going.
All that.
All Grundle aside, that is accurate, and that's exactly what Mason Marchment said.
I 100% support that message.
I bet you do.
Bing bong.
Daniel with a Oscar Beck in year after the cup. What are your thoughts on the offensive game plan? Felt like we tried to make it greasy in front of Skinner in game 1 and really got away from that in game 2. I don't get it.
Well, again, there's another team out there that may have something to do with that. I think that they're trying to press up a little bit through the neutral zone and not give them that kind of time and space to enter with the puck, and and that's what you need to do to Edmonton. I mean, they've talked about that. You need to stop them before they get into the offense zone. I thought Edmonton at times were getting in with numbers into the offensive zone too easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I was just going to say is I noticed in this game specifically, when Dallas did get in, Lutz is exactly right, but when Dallas did get in and started cycling, Edmonton was losing Dallas Stars players in front of the net, and that is exactly what they want to do. that could be a key here going forward. If Edmonton can't find a way to defend and box out better, Dallas needs to get those bodies. They need to get them even closer to Stuart Skinner.
Agreed. Next.
Bing bang.
Key with another, I think this is number 4 for him, with a Lundqvist in year after the Cup. Too many shutouts and playoff losses, something reeks.
Luds, I'm curious, real quick. Does it matter? Does it matter if you're losing these games mentally, not necessarily for the series score, but mentally, does it matter if you're losing 4-0 in these losses versus 2-1?
Well, no, I talked about that. Are you talking about if pulling the goalie or just score in general?
No, I just meant like for the Stars mental wise, if they're losing these games and they're losing 4-0, does it matter for them moving forward versus losing 2-1?
Yeah, it shouldn't, because but my thing is, like, when they're down 3-0 tonight and it's, late in the game and you're pulling the goalie, you're not going to win the hockey game. I don't know if that helps making it 4-0, 5-0, or you know what I'm saying there. But what you have to do is you have to reset after every game. That's just the way the playoffs are. It's a little different, like I say, in the regular season, and you kind of got to find a way to think about the game, think about as a group what you need to do a little bit better, what you got to do a little bit better individually, but then you start all over again tomorrow. It's a new day tomorrow. We're not down 3-0. We're going to go in there and we're going to do our best to win game 1. And if we don't win game 1, we're going to have to win game 3. But it's easier to say we're winning game 1 in there than the second game.
Guys, a bunch of people, including Darren Drager, and then Razor retweeted it, tweeting out the Rule 61 on slashing. I want to bring it up really quickly because in the minor penalty, it says at the discretion of the referee based on the severity of the contact should be imposed on a player who slashes an opponent. The next phrase is for a major penalty. It says, at the discretion of the referee based on the severity of the contact shall be imposed on a player who slashes an opponent. When injury occurs, a major penalty must be assessed under this rule.
How do they know when an injury occurs, though?
That's
that
the
would
question.
Be my, if I'm on the other side, I'm going, how do you know that this player has an injury? So I'm confused on what do you do?
That's a question for the league supervisor of officials and also.
And you're not going to.
I don't know the answer to that.
Let's say Hintz has got a minor fracture.
Yep.
They're not going to give him 5 minutes to start the game in Edmonton. So how do you, like, it's like, okay, I want you to go take an x-ray of him right now, find out. We're going to wait here, and we're going to apply it.
Well, I mean,
don't know.
I
think it's something visual that you can see, like, an injury like we talked about.
I mean, when you see a player helped off the ice like Hintz was.
Now you're opening up a can of worms.
You're right. But, I mean, it does look like there's an injury there. But to your point, how do you know if it's real or if it's being embellished? I mean, that's a very tricky thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's not
because
as cut
now
and dry.
you've got everybody diving.
It's
not
not as cut and dry as high sticking where if you see blood,
right,
even though sometimes you get a little bit when it's not really much of a high stick.
Yeah.
It just,
that's what I'm saying. A slash on the hand, slash on the foot. And in playoff time, everybody can act like they broke their wrist. Somebody broke my wrist. Well, until like that, the way the rule reads, I'm like, how do you know that? How do I know that there's an injury?
Right. I mean, again, that is for something to sound clear cut, there's a lot of gray in that.
Yeah. Well, this finger was sticking backwards, so they could tell if there was an injury on that one.
Did you hold it up and show them?
No. No, I put my glove on to get it off. Yeah, no.
Well, maybe you would have gotten a major out of that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anthony with a Lundqvist and a year after the Cup. Luds, this is going to be poking the bear a little bit. Luds, you know damn well if someone slashed Madonna like that, you or Hatcher would have done something. Sounds like you're being hypocritical.
Yeah, but it's not poking the bear. I have no problem with that, but I'm just telling you what is said on the bench and in the locker room. Not now. We'll get our chance. There's more important things going on. We don't know how, if Mo got slashed on the ankle like that, and again, if you look at that slash, again, I don't remember 100%, but if you look at that slash, when he comes down, I think he's just trying to slash him. Yeah, I don't think he's aiming.
You don't think there's intent to break his foot or something?
Because he hits him, he kind of skims off his leg and on his pad, and that's what you do in front. You do that. So, but I don't want to say, I don't know if the intent was to try to break his ankle. I have no idea. But I'm telling you how many conversations go on, like, we will get them. We'll have our time.
Even
we'll
in
have
the
our
90s
time.
when you were playing.
Yes.
It wasn't just an automatic.
In the regular season's different.
Yeah.
The playoffs were, no, there's something bigger here. We don't want to, that. Now, like I said, if you're down 3 games and all of a sudden you're in the third period and you're losing the hockey game and you ain't going to win, well, that's a little different story.
Then it's
But
time to get the early shower.
then it's a little different story. But right now it's 1-1. So
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
Let's go back to 2 years ago when the Stars lost to Vegas in the conference final.
Yep.
And what happened when Jamie Benn
Stone.
lost his composure and when after Mark Stone got kicked out, got suspended.
And how many people
how
many people wrote in and commented how stupid that was by
a
Jamie?
lot.
Exactly.
It was not a that's my captain,
Exactly.
boy, I ride with him. It was he lost his head. He shouldn't have done that.
Because
and
now you think we're
Yeah.
going to lose the series.
and
all-
they eventually did lose the series.
Okay, that's a good example.
Yep. All right. Any final thoughts before we call this one an evening because we have a Sunday matinee? Let me ask you that as we wrap this one up. The game's at 2:00 on Sunday.
Now, they are 2 hours back, right? Is it noon there?
No, that'll be 1:00. So it's Mountain Time.
Okay, so
time.
we're just 1 hour.
1
Okay.
hour from us, 2
Yeah.
from
All
Eastern
right,
time.
so it's 1:00.
So when you heard like the ESPN guys say that's 2 hours difference, they're talking about East Coast time. So it's a 1:00 start. Luds, there's again maybe an optional skate before traveling tomorrow. There won't be a morning skate because it's a midday game. And I heard the broadcast tonight. Ray Ferraro was talking about the goalie's not really getting out in there and feeling pucks between the end of game 2 and the warm up of game 3. Does that concern you at all?
I
mean,
from
it's
a
fair
goalie
for either
standpoint,
team.
I have no idea. But
Yeah.
we're in the third round. I think they've felt a lot of rubber.
I think so.
So I don't know if that's a thing for the goalies, but Ray would know better than me, apparently. I don't know.
Sam, what do you think about the build up to the third game in Edmonton on a Sunday afternoon, Memorial Day weekend?
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting because normally you'd think maybe that'll lead to a little bit of a sleepy start, but I can tell you right now that the Dallas Stars are furious about how this game went and about how that Hintz penalty happened. I imagine they come out hot in the first period and they very much keep in mind what happened and take the chance, like Lud said, look for your opportunity when it comes against number 25.
I'm sure it's obvious, but getting the lead would help. Playing from behind is a dangerous recipe. It's not a formula that works all the time. It's amazing how many times the Stars have come back in the playoffs, especially in the third period, because they barely did that in the entire regular season this year. Last year, they were really good at it. This year, they did not do that very much. I think we'd all like to see them get out in front and try to play with the lead against this Oilers team.
You never know. Maybe you go 11-7.
You think? Are you talking about
Brendan Smith? Maybe your seventh.
Is that because of a Hintz injury you're thinking, or just because?
Well, if you guys want retribution, I mean, then maybe you put Brendan Smith in there, and when Darnell is on the ice, you throw him up front, and you're up by 3 goals, and have at it. I don't know. I'm just saying.
When you say you guys, you're talking about the people in the chat, because we have been calling for retribution personally.
No, I'm just saying that's not a bad idea either. I mean, if that, but again, I would preferably wait until you're up 3-1 or something like that, and then go ahead.
Last thing, couple of quick super chats. Caleb with a DeSmith 99. We need to control the puck more, slow it down. And Bryson with a DeSmith 99. Updated series opinions or predictions after the first 2 games. Did it change at all?
What? That was a long one.
Yeah, I did 2. It was 2, real quick.
No, you reset. I think Dallas has got to find another level, and really, there's got to be more people on board. That's 5-on-5. They have to. And again, we've been saying this the whole time. For me, Jake Oettinger has been your best player, and it's the reason that you're here, along with Rantanen early on. Scored some big goals, blah, blah, blah. Granlund's been great. But there's too many passengers right now, especially 5-on-5.
Sam, what's the travel like for you personally?
Dog sled.
I'm not going on Frontier Airlines, so that's a win. I'm going tomorrow for something up to Denver, which is just asking for trouble, and then up to Edmonton. But the good news is I don't have to be anywhere till 11:30 Mountain Time on Sunday, so hopefully I'll be there on time.
All right.
That's where you get the dog sled, is in Denver.
Yep.
Good luck.
Well, you can always hitchhike. Best of luck as you head north and west, and we will talk to you in the pregame show on Sunday, hopefully from Rogers Place in your first trip up to Alberta. All right.
With a big old bowl of poutine.
I can't wait to see it. Bring it on the show. For Sam Nestler, for Craig Ludwig, for John Andersen, I'm Owen Newkirk. One final thing to point out to you. Our next show is our pregame show. Oh, it says Lud Suds.
I know that.
You brought the did it?
Lud Suds.
But it
John's
didn't.
never even zoom in on
It didn't bring you the win.
Nope. That was
no show tomorrow. We're off for Saturday. We have our Game 3 pregame show at 1:30 Central Time on Sunday afternoon. And then we will have a full Game 3 watch-along with Luds, myself, Brent Severin will be in studio.
Maybe somebody else.
And maybe a surprise guest. Well, we don't know. We'll
that's
wait
it.
on that. Big thank you to our presenting sponsors for tonight's show, Bud Light and Happy Hour. And, of course, for our producer, John Andersen, for keeping this all together and moderating the chat. But listen, when you're in the chat on the live show, be respectful. Make it easier on John. When you just be...
let it fly.
When you're a donkey,
let it go.
You're making more work for
you pay
John.
good money. Let it go.
All right. So series is tied at 1. It switches to Edmonton for Game 3. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you Sunday here on DLLS.
We all silly like the mayor.